Welcome in to a Wednesday evening Sports Phone KNBR. My name is Bill Lasky. I'll be hosting the show the next couple hours as we dissect this San Francisco Giants team that's current on a 10-game road trip. Doing extremely well, winning 2 out of 3 against the New York Yankees in New York. And now they have won 2 out of 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies as this game went back and forth. The first inning, what an inning for both pitchers, Aaron Nola and Robbie Ray. And the Giants end up scoring 7 runs in the 5th inning on and ended up winning this game 11-4 at Tough Park, Citizens Bank Ballpark. And they did it against a team that's pretty good at home. Today, it was just a day to rebound from yesterday's loss 6-4. Of course, they took the first one on Monday, 10-4. And today, Robbie Ray took the mound again, and his last outing, if you remember, was last Friday in New York, and it was pouring rain, wind, it was cold, and he only ended up going 4 innings. He got the win. The game was cut short because of the weather. He gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. That 4 walks is a big, big thing we're going to talk about with Robbie Ray tonight. Today, again, a cold day in Philadelphia, around 50 degrees, windy, chilly. Saw a lot of beanies, hoodies, gloves in the stands. And he went out there and he just couldn't find a strike zone. He really struggled. But before that, the Giants gave him a 4-run lead. They scored 4 runs on 4 hits and 2 walks as Aaron Nola, 0-3, really struggling in the first part of the season for the Phillies. He just couldn't find a strike zone. And the Giants ended up mounting an attack with a double by Adames, a base hit by Jung-Hoo Lee, another base hit by Chapman, a walk by Ramos. Wilmer Flores walks in. That's an RBI. And then Patrick Bailey gets a base hit to get 2 RBIs. And the Giants had a 4-0 lead. But going back to Robbie Ray, what's going on with Robbie Ray? He could not find the strike zone in the first inning. Throwing 39 pitches in the first inning, only 16 of them for strikes, 4 first pitch strikes out of 8. He walks Bryce Harper on 4 straight pitches, goes 3-2 on Kyle Schwarber, he walks him, goes JT Realmuto, full count, walks him, and that was a run. Walking in the first run of the game for Robbie Ray. And sure enough, he does it again with Sosa and gets a walk, and he walks 2 runs in the first inning, giving up 2, and the Giants now are only up 4-2. What is going on with Robbie Ray? Well, let's look at the line, what he did today. Overall, he threw 93 pitches, and this is the number I'm looking at, 53 strikes only. That's right, 53. 15 first pitch strikes out of 23 hitters. He really only used 2 pitches. He used his fastball and his slider. Those are the only 2 pitches that he tried to command with. He got the fastball up to 96 miles an hour, averaged only at 93. The slider was more of a sweeping slider. Got that at 89. The average was about 87. But when you're looking at 57 fastballs and 25 sliders, where is the secondary pitches, I asked? The curveball, he only threw 2 of them. And the changeup that we've talked about all from spring training, he only threw 9 of them, and there was a lot of them for balls. So what is going with Robbie Ray when you look at what his numbers are now? He's gone 19 1/3 innings. He's given up 15 hits, 15 walks. That's right, Giants fans, 15 walks. In 19 1/3 innings, he punched out 21. He only goes 4 innings in this game. He gives up a home run to Bryce Harper. The first 2 times Bryce Harper saw him, he walked him on 4 straight pitches both times. When you look what Bryce Harper did to him coming into the game, 5 for 11 with a home run and a double, he was hitting over 400 over him. So I wonder if he was trying to be a little cautious. Well, the cautious didn't work in the 4th inning. The first pitch he threw to Bryce Harper with Rojas on second base, it was a slider that didn't slide, and Bryce Harper hit his 4th home run out to right field and tied the game, and the momentum switched at that time. Everybody was watching this game as Giants fans. You wondered, oh boy, here we go. You gave up the lead, you tied it up, and it ended up being 4-4. Robbie Ray just did not look good today. And there's concerns there. I really believe there is, especially not being able to throw strikes. Well, you got to pat the bullpen on the back. From the bullpen, from arms like Lou Trevino, Camilo Duvall, and Spencer Bivens, they finished this game up going 5 innings with 1 hit and 1 walk, punching out 5. They were beautiful going off the mound tonight in Philadelphia. They shut them down, and it was a great appearance by Lou Trevino. He ends up getting the win. He came in the 5th inning, had a nice 1-2-3 inning, threw 8 pitches, 4 of them for strikes. The second time he went out there, had a strike 3. Patrick Bailey just couldn't come up with the ball, threw it short to Lamont Wade Jr., but he got out of the inning. A really nice job by Lou Trevino. Camilo Duvall came in, really threw the great. 10 pitches for strikes, 14 pitches overall. His a nice 1-2-3 inning. And at that time, Spencer Bivens gave up the last 2 innings. He got a little mop job. They were up 11-4. He goes 2 innings with 1 walk, 2 punch outs. And the Giants end up winning this 3rd game. 1 more game tomorrow, and we're going to hear it right here, 1:05 on KNBR. You start wondering what's next. And the biggest question, what are we going to see out of Jordan Hicks tomorrow? Jordan Hicks struggled his last outing in New York, only going 4 innings, 8 hits, 7 earned runs. The second time around, they struggled. He struggled, tried to get people out, and the 5th inning, it just blew up on him. So we'll see what he does tomorrow against Christopher Sanchez, a left-hander, and 28-year-old. He's been pitching pretty well for him. He's 1-0, going 17 1/3 innings, only giving up 6 earned runs. and 3.1 earned run average. A tough lefty, but right now the Giants are playing good baseball all around, coming back from this game after they tied it 4-4 with some clutch hitting. When you look at the line score, Mike Yastrzemski going 2 for 4 with 2 walks and 2 RBIs. Willie Adames finally got a hit off Aaron Nola. He ended up going 1 for 5 with an RBI. Jung-Hoo Lee, stay hot. He is just swinging the bat extremely well for the Giants, hitting .338. He goes 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Matt Chapman coming out of his slump. He goes 2 for 4. Elliot Ramos 1 for 4. Wilmer Flores, that's right. Wilmer Flores gets a walk for his 22nd RBI. Then he comes up in the 7th inning, gets a nice base hit. He's got 23 RBIs, leading the National League right now. He goes 1 for 4. And my buddy Tyler Fitzgerald starting to heat up on this road trip. A beautiful play in right center field. No clue how he caught that ball. If you heard the post-game show he was on, and he was saying, I just went out, boy, when I watched the replay, what a beautiful catch I made. So it was funny what Tyler Fitzgerald said. He goes 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored and an RBI, and the Giants win. They're now 9-3 on the road. Really, really good playing baseball. One more tomorrow, and then they go to Anaheim and play the L.A. Angels on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 808 KNBR, if you want to get on the phone lines, let's talk about this Giants team. Got a good show lined up as we get through Sports Phone KNBR. Jeff Young's going to join me from the Round the Foghorn. He covers the San Francisco Giants. And I sat down with a good buddy of mine, Bobby Evans. That's right. He's an advisor now for Buster Posey, and we get to talk about what his new role is and what he feels Buster Posey's doing in the front office. So you'll want to hear this conversation later in the show. I'm Bill Lasky. This is Sports Phone KNBR. We're going to take a quick break. Come back right here on the leader, KNBR.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
All right, welcome back to a Wednesday evening Sports Phone KNBR. My name is Bill Lasky. I'm hosting the show today, tomorrow, and Friday. So 808 KNBR if you want to talk some baseball with me before the extra inning post-game shows this Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow, Jordan Hicks on the hill for the San Francisco Giants. He's 1-1 with a 5.87 earned run average. On Friday, Logan Webb's going to take the hill against the L.A. Angels. He's 2-0 with a 2.6. That first pitch is 6:38 in the evening. And then on Saturday, another evening game starting at 6:38. Landon Ruppach on the hill. He's 1-1 with a 4.8 earned run average. Then Justin Verlander's going to have the afternoon game on Sunday, a 107 start. He's 0-1 with just over a 6-point earned run average. Let's see if he can get back into shape here and have a good game for the Giants on Sunday before they return home. They come home for a nice 7-game homestand where they face the Milwaukee Brewers the first 4 days, and then the Texas Rangers. Bruce Bochy comes in for the weekend before they finally get a day off on April 28th. That's their first day off. They'll be playing 17 straight games. On this road trip, they're doing extremely well. They're 4-2 in 6 games. Of course, 9-3 overall on the road. And the baseball team that we've been watching all year has been playing exciting, some good at-bats, some good pitching. And overall, how about the defense? Today, Patrick Bailey making an error, the 5 errors so far for the San Francisco Giants. All right, let's get to the phone lines, 808 KNBR. Let's go out to Albany and talk to Steve. Steve, you're on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky. Hope your evening's going well. How's it going?
Thanks, Bill. I'm doing fine. Appreciate you, and it's great to hear your voice on the air once again. You always bring so much, to the broadcast.
I appreciate that, Steve. Let me ask you something, Steve. Watching these games, especially on the road trip, the cold weather, the rain, again, it was cold today. You know, these guys battle the elements, and I think that's one thing. As we're in California, we don't realize how cold it is and how wind chill it was in New York. How do you feel about that?
Well, I grew up in Chicago, and I played ball in Chicago. So, up through high school, and then I came out here to go to school at Cal. But, up until I was 17, 18, that was my life, the ebb and flow of the seasons. You never, from one year to the next, you never really knew where you're going to get. It could be 40 degrees in April, it could be 70 degrees in April. It could be raining, it could be sunny, and so you would just...
Or it even could be snowing in Chicago. I know that one, too.
Exactly. So you have to have all kinds of outfits ready. But, I think they're doing a great job of adjusting to the climate, and, I just want to, I think we all want to just see more of what they're doing. The fellow I wanted to talk about was Lamont Wade. And the reason why is I really like the guy. He seems like he's probably a terrific guy in the clubhouse. He's turned himself into, plus fielder. But he's the only guy that's not really joined the party yet, at least at the plate.
Yeah, his numbers, Steve, right now, 5 for 49. He's getting on with walks, which you know and I do, and everybody know and watch Lamont Wade Jr. He's got a great eye at the plate.
Yeah.
They changed a couple of things in his hitting stance. They changed where his hands are. They're trying to do a lot of work. His last homestand, I was up there. I saw Barry Bonds in the cages working with him. I don't know exactly what Barry was working on. I was just watching him taking swings, and it just seems like he's standing up. He's not really crouched down like he used to be. This is my opinion. He's just missing some pitches that are right there, and you're absolutely right. They took him from the leadoff spot, and now he's hitting, sixth. You might see him a little lower, but there's another guy in this lineup too that's not doing well, and that's Patrick Bailey. He's only hitting $124, and his swings also are, kind of here and there. Today, of course, he got a nice base hit in the first inning off a curveball, 2 RBIs. But at other times when you're watching Patrick Bailey, I think both these guys have struggled in the early part of the season so far.
Totally agree. One of the things I noticed tonight, well, I've noticed at various times, but particularly was cueing on Wade tonight, is it feels like, he's hit some balls really hard that have been right at people. They have had tough luck on. But also, it doesn't feel like he's making adjustments. like it feels like he's trying to pull everything and hit everything hard, no matter where the ball's pitched. Instead of trying to take some balls that are on the outside corner and go to left field with them, or try to go in the gap. And it's tough. That's a tough way to live, is if you're trying to pull things and hit everything hard, and the defense and the pitchers know what your approach is. So I think he's got to make an adjustment before he gets to a point where they're going to say, you can't bat 100 and start in Major League Baseball.
The defensive side, I think we're pretty happy with playing first base as a left-handed first baseman, but the offensive numbers just aren't there. In that first inning, he came up with bases loaded and punched out on a call strike 3. So that was one of the things when I first saw it.
And punch in the stomach.
Yeah, and then in the third inning, he strung right through a pitch. So the first 2 at-bats were both strikeouts. Came up again in the 5th inning and rolled one over to Bryce Harper at first base. The next 2 at-bats were walks. But I think they do need to look at somebody else at first base, maybe giving him an opportunity before the game. And, you got to look at Casey Schmidt coming off the bench. He has been a spark plug and learning to play first base. Maybe there's going to be an adjustment as the game continues to give some more at-bats to Casey Schmidt. Even though it's righty against righty, I think he's got a little more pop right now, and he's hitting the ball better.
Totally agree. He's knocking the heck out of the ball, even when it's right at somebody, and he makes an out. He's driving the ball, and I would love to see that too. Yeah,
a couple options there, and when you're looking at the catching position, it's so sad because Patrick Bailey's there. And Huff is just not doing anything behind the plate.
Right.
And you love to see somebody come up and, be that backup catcher. And they've always had a problem. Tom Murphy's been hurt, and they took the chance with Sam Huff, a young kid coming out of the Rangers. He just hasn't had good swings on the ball yet. So Patrick Bailey's going to have to be in there.
What's the name of the I guess he's more of a veteran, who was one of the last cuts? Starts with an S, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of it too. Offhand, he's in AAA right now.
He started hitting the ball well the last couple games of spring training, but I think it was too late. Samsky or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It was tough because he was a non-roster player, and I think that was one of the reasons they gave it to Huff, because he came over on the waiver wire and they put him on the roster, and they didn't want to make any more changes to that roster. So I think that was the move. They're going to have to take a look at this because Patrick Bailey, we've seen in the second half of the year last year, the slump he came in. One of the best catchers. One of the best catchers on the defensive side. I just wonder, and let me throw this one out to you, Steve, maybe he shouldn't switch hit. Maybe he should just stay one side, because the right side's kind of weak, and the left side, maybe he can drive the ball a little bit better. I'd like to see if they would ever change him just to be one-sided.
Well, yeah, and you know better than anybody, a catcher, having to work with catchers your whole career, they've already got more to think about than anybody on the diamond, except for the manager, to have to think about that plus 2 totally different approaches against major league pitching.
It's difficult. It is really difficult. Yeah, and I remember interviewing my buddy Chili Davis, and he says, as a switch hitter, you have to groom your eyes. Your eyes have to get better, because you're looking out of one eye, focusing at a left-handed, and then you're looking at the other eye as a right-hander. And he says that's the difficult part of switch hitting. Sure, it's a different stance and you're switching right or left, but he said it's really grooming your eyes and trying to focus the ball a little bit more as a hitter. And I have to agree with him. When you start thinking about it, you played baseball, a lot of players out there listening to me, bat left-handed, bat right-handed, and you can see what I'm talking about with the peripheral vision from your right eye to your left eye, and it's totally different. There's no question about it.
Both eyes might not have the same strength, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, that's
well, Steve, thanks for the call tonight. Really appreciate your time, and please call in more. I'd love to talk to you.
Here, keep up the great work, Bill.
All right, thanks so much, Steve. Let's go out to San Francisco and talk to Mike. Mike, you're on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky tonight. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Good evening. I was going to lead off with thinking about last year in Philadelphia. We lost we lost 3-4, 3-14, 4-5, and 1-6. It was the most embarrassing.
And there was some injuries in that series, too, if I'm not mistaken, Mike. It was a bad series in Philadelphia. This year they came in with some spunk from New York. They took the first game with a couple home runs. Yesterday was back and forth until Birdsong threw a 3-0 pitch to Harper, who knocked it out of the yard. And today the Giants got on top. They tied it, but they had some spunk coming in this game. They ended up hitting the ball extremely well in the 5th, 6th, and 7th inning. What have you seen about the offense, Mike? What have you seen that you like so far?
What I've seen about the offense, I've seen guys going out there and doing things they're not used to doing. Like Tyler Fitzgerald is getting hot. And Mike Yastrzemski is flattening out his swing, and he seems to be feeding off of Tyler when he hits, and Ramos is always fed off Chapman when he hits, and Flores isn't playing the infield anymore, and good. I'd love to. I know he doesn't like not playing, but it's a contract year for him, too, and I'd love to see him stick around next year.
You know, one of the things I'll throw at you, Mike, and you can agree to disagree, I always like when hitters go the opposite way. We saw Yastrzemski go to left center field. We always see Jung-Hoo Lee going the opposite way. You mentioned it, Tyler Fitzgerald going to right center field. And as a pitcher, those are the hardest guys to try to get out because they wait so late on the ball and they pick up the ball later when it's coming through the strike zone and they have that swing to go the opposite way. That's what I'm seeing more out of this offense so far this year.
I agree. I barely played baseball, but all I ever told myself at the plate was just wait as long as you can.
Yeah.
You could hit it back where it came from and hard. You don't want to try to decide where the ball is going. You just want to just hit it right back at them.
Make contact. I think that's the biggest thing, and I think that's what Pat Burrell, Damon Miner's trying to do. Even though the Giants struck out 10 times, you never would have thought that today. With their 13 hits, they had 9 walks. I mean, if I would have told you, Mike, they had 13 hits and 9 walks, you would say, wow, they hit well. And I would say, but they punched out 10 times. You would have never thought that, but they did.
No, I for one, I'm not looking at the strikeouts, and I'll just lead that into Tyler Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald has always had a big strikeout percentage in his career. But like last season when it opened, I thought he had earned the right to be the opening day shortstop, and that didn't happen. He got hot, and he, like a lot of us, like myself, even when things are going right, you just don't know how to handle it. And he hit 5 home runs in a week, so like.
He's hot right now, no question about it. But if you remember the name Nick Ahmed, who was the starting shortstop for them last year, he just didn't hit much. And Luciano got a chance. He wasn't right for the job. And Tyler Fitzgerald all of a sudden was the shortstop. And he played very well. He was consistent as he could because he was, a shortstop here and there, but he didn't play it every day. It's a whole different mindset. It's a whole different way of knowing hitters, different teams. But he filled in so great. And this year, I think Buster said, hey, you know what? Luciano's not my shortstop. Ahmed was gone. And then think, well, Tyler Fitzgerald, maybe if I moved him over to second base, it would work. And he went and got Willie Adames. And Adames has been playing very good defense with Matt Chapman on the left side. And now Tyler Fitzgerald's playing a good second base. That catch he made today over his shoulder, I don't know how he caught that ball. In the post-game show, he was laughing about it. But he's doing things on the defensive side at playing second base, going into shallow center field, going down the line. I loved where he was when Bailey threw that ball when Lamont Wade Jr. missed it. Guess where he was, Mike? Backing up the play. Beautiful defense right there.
And they seem to miss out on that today. Cost Chapman an RBI.
Yeah.
And so throwing the ball up the line is like a thing these days. But the last thing I'll say about Fitzgerald before I lead into my last point is I saw him taking batting practice with, like you were saying, I think you saw Lamont Wade taking batting practice with Barry Bonds. I saw just a video clip of Fitz, and Bonds was standing there, and he wasn't heavy on his back foot. He was just pitter-pattering between his back and front foot a couple of times and going with the pitch. And I think that unlocks something in Fitzgerald.
Well, I think he's healthy also, too, Mike. You heard my interview. I talked to Fitz toward the end of spring training. He twisted it and turned. He wasn't feeling the greatest. He felt that was making a lot of his strikeouts, and I think he's healthy now. We talked in that interview about playing second base, a different way to turn and throw the ball from where he was at shortstop. And, of course, he was always an outfielder. And he got to get better and he got healthier. And I think that was one of the things that we're watching. If Tyler Fitzgerald's healthy, I love him in that 9 spot because he opens up the front of the lineup where you go 9-1-2, and he's got the speed to kill. He's got the fastest sprint speed in the big leagues for the Giants. And if he could do that at the ninth spot and bring the top of the order around, that's a big, big plus for the orange and black.
Most definitely. I do agree with that. I've always liked speed at the end.
All right, Mike, I got a few calls on hold here. We'll chat another time. I appreciate your time. Let's go out to the South Bay and talk to John. John, you're on with Bill Lasky on Sports Phone KNBR. Good win today. The Giants have now won 4 out of the 6 games on the road. How do you feel about this team?
Hey, Bill. I don't have a lot of notes, to be honest. It's the beginning of the year, and I don't want to get too high or too low.
Good
I do
points.
want to comment on something that an earlier caller made about Lamont Wade. He had some great exit velo to start the season off his bat. I like Lamont. I think he's at this point deserved 100 at bats. I guess that's sort of the litmus test, right?
I agreed also.
To see where the guy's at. But I think the one thing that you can really agree upon with this team is that their mettle is there. Like, they've got grit. And you know, I know we can go back and forth and beat up on Farhan because he's not here, but it's a game of people, not spreadsheets. It's a game of souls that are there, that are on that field, and just little things that I see. You know, Lamont hit a ball 104 miles an hour a couple weeks ago when I was out watching them play against Cincinnati, and he kind of hung his head and came into the dugout, and I looked over, and up on the top step, Bo Mel was there, gave him a little pat on the behind, and was like, dude, don't worry about it. And for these guys to have a level of confidence when people are pulling, 26 guys now, not 25, pulling on the same cord together and like, hey, I love this dude. I'm going to go to war with this guy. I want to play with these people every day. Like, that's the kind of like leadership that Buster brings. And I know you were a ball player. I work in a pretty big organization. Leadership really does come from the top.
It does.
And you feel
it does. And it goes right through the system. It doesn't just go through the big leagues. It goes through the minor leagues also. And that's what I think of these guys gravitate that are playing in AAA. They were in the big league camp. They're 9-7 in Sacramento. They're trying to get their thoughts together on how to feel it out. But I do want to say one thing about Lamont Wade Jr. They're not going to give up on him. They're not going to give up on any of these guys. How many transactions have you seen this year so far? 0. That's why you got Buster Posey. That's why you have Bob Melvin saying, this is our team. Here's our 26 guys. This is the team we're going to fight with. And we're winning. That means a different guy of every role is going to do something different. Somebody's going to be that star. Matt Chapman was 0 for 23. They were still winning. Lamont Wade Jr., 5 for 49. They're still winning. These guys are going to come back to life, no question. Lamont Wade Jr.'s just got to slow down a little bit. I know he likes watching pitches, but there's sometimes he watches a pitch that's dead red to hit.
I can't disagree with you there. I think that he's definitely probably pressing at this point, and I just think, like you said, I haven't seen a lot of moves, and it was just, last year you're watching this team, the year before, and that bus up and down to Sacramento.
It was terrible, wasn't it? Yeah, it was bad, John, and we didn't know who was going to be on the roster the next day, and I remember one year in AAA talking to Dave Brennish, they had over 100 players changing uniforms down there. That is not the heart. That's not the heartbeat of a baseball team.
and I know I am belaboring a point that I said I wouldn't, but I think that shows you that somebody like Farhan just didn't play the game. I mean, and like nothing to begrudge the dude. He's obviously some brilliant MIT nerd, but like Buster Posey was like this silent leader who took us to three World Series games. Like, and the dude never showed emotion, but you see those no hitters, you see those perfect games. The guy's like the Buster hugs because he is a tender heart, but he's also just like, Steph Curry, the baby-faced assassin. He's going to get in there and he knows what he wants in order to win. So anyway, I just like these teams.
Thanks, John. I appreciate your call. Good stuff right there, John. That's a great observation you've had, and I appreciate the call. All right, this is Sports Phone KNBR. We've got to take a quick break. There's a few people on hold. We'll get to all of you. My name's Bill Lasky. We'll get right back with you on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Giants fans. This is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
All right, back on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky on a Wednesday night. Giants win in Philadelphia 11-4. 11 runs, 13 hits, 1 error for the Giants. 4 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for the Phillies. 1 home run. That was Bryce Harper's 4th home run of the year. The Giants had a season-high runs today, scoring 11. They're now 4-2 on a 10-game road trip. They finish up tomorrow in Philadelphia. 2 28-year-olds are going to go at each other tomorrow. The 28-year-old left-hander Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies. He's 1-0 with a 3.12 earned run average. He beat the Cardinals going 6 1/3 innings, giving up 1 earned run. Faced the Dodgers. He went 5 2/3 in that game, giving up 4 earned runs. And he had a no decision against the Colorado Rockies, going 5 1/3 innings, only giving up 1 earned run. So the Giants are going up against a tough lefty right now. Jordan Hicks, of course, 1-1 with a 5.8 earned run average. He pitched a beautiful first game in Houston where he went 6 innings, only giving up 1 hit, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Threw pretty good against the Mariners. That was at home where he went 5 1/3, give up 3 earned runs and a no decision. But in New York, the Tumbler Yankees got him in the 5th inning, and he only went 4 innings, got knocked out in the 5th inning, gave up 7 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Looking for a better outing out of Jordan Hicks tomorrow. First pitch right here on KNBR at 1:05. Later in the show, we're going to end up talking to Jeff Young, good friend of mine from around the Foghorn. He covers the San Francisco Giants. We'll have him on in a few minutes. And then I sat down with Bobby Evans, the advisor to Buster Posey, in his 26th season now with the San Francisco Giants. Had a great chat with him, and you'll hear that later in the show. Let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go out to Queens, New York, and talk to Mark. Mark, how are you on a Wednesday night?
Bill, thank you for taking my call. I wasn't going to call in tonight. Great game today. Great game. But I had a call because there was one name that hasn't been mentioned by either yourself or anybody else calling in. And as far as I'm concerned, I've been watching Giant games for close to 70 years. And, of course, Willie Mays. I had the privilege of watching his career. A lot of people are too young, so they can't say that. But the Giants finally have a superstar. And without this catalyst, without this superstar, without this miraculous center fielder and clutch hitter, they would be no place. The man is truly a superstar.
And you're talking about Jung-Hoo Lee. I know you are, Mark.
I can't say enough. I cannot say enough. He makes things happen.
He
hits
sure does.
sacrifice flies. He bunts. He hits doubles. He hits home runs. You could put him in the outfield with no left fielder and no right fielder, and I don't think the other team would score much.
How about that throw he had yesterday, Mark, where Bryce Harper tried to go to second base and he threw a pearl into second base. Fitzgerald threw him out. His defense, he won 5 Gold Gloves in Korea as a young player, and he's showing us that he can handle center field.
How did they get their feelers on him?
Well, that was through Korea baseball, and I'll tell you a little secret here, Mark. I interviewed Jung-Hoo Lee today for my show for the weekend, Extra Innings, through his interpreter, Justin. Had about 15 minutes with him. We talked a lot about Korea, his father, how he grew up. You'll have to listen to it Sunday because that's a fun interview I had with him today.
Something about the wind, going with the wind. His nickname.
Grandson of the Wind. That's a good one, Mark. Mark, thanks for the call. I really appreciate your call tonight. And, listen to the show Sunday. You'll hear my interview with him. And it's a great, great young player. The Giants have him for a while, and it was a great move. And we talk about some of the moves that Farhan Zaidi did do. Farhan Zaidi ended up signing him out of Korea, and it was a great, great opportunity for this young kid to come over here and play. The San Francisco Giants get to watch him every day.
We got a superstar.
We do. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate the call. Let's go out to Oakland and talk to Daryl. Daryl, you're on Sports Phone KNBR on a Wednesday. Giants win today. A pretty good road trip so far, going 4-2.
I agree, Bill. Going Good to talk to you. It's been since last year. I'm really optimistic about the Giants this year. I think they're playing really well. Even though, some of the pitchers their ERAs are a little high right now, but Giants are still hitting the ball. And I was calling because I just want to say I'm glad that Bo Mel and Buster Posey haven't given up on Tyler Fitzgerald. Early in the season he was batting only like 180, and he's turned it around. And I like him. He has a good combination of power and speed.
Yeah, he's a grinder, no doubt about it. And I think you might have heard me earlier in the show today. I interviewed him, and I got to know Tyler all the way back in Double-A. I got to see him on his homestand last when they played at home recently. And, he wasn't healthy going into spring training. Twists and turns at second base, minor injuries, but enough to bother him in his swing path. And he says, I feel a lot better now, a little more time off, a little more time to relax and kind of get my ideas of what I have to prove on at the swing, with my swing. And he was worried about the strikeouts, no question. But in the other time, he had a clearer mind, knowing that he was going to play second base. A day off here and a day off there, I think Bob Melvin's really good at that, giving them rest. Today and yesterday really hit the ball well in Philadelphia, and it's changed his outlook. Playing good defense, making the right plays, being around second base. And you said it earlier, Fitzgerald's got that speed, and you can't take a day off with speed.
Yeah. I'm glad they kept him up there. They didn't give up on him when his batting average was low, and I watched him from last year, and I really like him. So just saying.
Good player, a good solid player, and you got a couple good backups with Christian Koss who could help in a defense. I think Casey Schmidt's going to be a big plus coming off the bench, and you just got to get some of these guys some more at bats. It's so difficult to get 3 bats a week, and you're in a lineup here and there. But when you're winning like this and they're 13-5, there's nobody complaining in that clubhouse right now.
Yeah, it's great. I'm enjoying it while it lasts. I know it's not always going to be like that.
It's a long season. Don't forget that. But you know what we're seeing? We're seeing a different type of team on the field wearing that orange and black uniform. And I think Giants fans are seeing this. They're a little more aggressive on the bases, stealing bases, moving around the bases, scoring from second base, reading the ball when the ball is hit to the outfield so they can't take an extra base. That's what I love about this team. A little more aggressive, and we're starting to see that more and more each start.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited.
Darryl, thanks for the call. Appreciate your time tonight, and we're right back at it tomorrow with a 105 start. It would be great to take 3 out of 4 in Philadelphia. That ballpark, Citizens Bank Park, is so hard to beat the Phillies. They have an opportunity to win it. We'll see how they do tomorrow.
Looking forward to it.
All right, let's go to Mike in San Francisco. Mike, you're on Sports Phone KNBR. Giants winners today, a good road trip, and a long 17 grueling days before they get a day off.
Mr. Lasky, it's a pleasure. I've been listening to your show for a while, first-time caller.
Oh, great. Appreciate the call.
Hey, I think my late grandfather, this sounds weird, but because of him, I've been watching Bay Area sports since I was 5, and I'm 47 years old. But regardless, what impresses me on the Giants is, and I know it's a small sample size, but Chappie and Willie, with the slow start that they've had, and everybody else, doing what they're doing,
picking them up. That's what picking them up, and I think that's the thing.
Not that they need to be picked up, because I think those they're both studs, but that's impressive. It's great, and about this. I used to think, like, when Bo Mel put Fitzgerald in the 9 spot, I was like, well, what? I was thinking to myself, what is he doing? But it's and I don't.
The secret weapon, right? It's that secret weapon in that 9 spot, because if he gets on, guess what? The top of the lineup drives him in.
Like that?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
And it's and then my buddy tells me earlier, and then I'll let you go here in just a few seconds, but my buddy Ryan was saying, yeah, we should put him in the leadoff spot, and I'm like, don't try and fix something that is not
well.
working.
If you remember this, Mike, last year they did that to Matos when Matos was so hot in the month of May. If you remember this, and the leadoff hitters get hurt, Wade gets hurt, and they put Matos there. And I said it when they first did it. I said, he's not a leadoff hitter. He does not know how to watch pitches. He's a free swinger. He drives the ball in. And he got crushed by it, and he ended up going back to AAA, and it crushed his spirit. I think what Bob Melvin's doing right now, he's looking at analytics, but he's also looking at guys that are capable of doing different things in the position in the batting order. He's had Ramos up there, he's had Lamont Wade Jr. up there, he's had Yaz, he's had and they're all producing to get on base. Mike Yastrzemski right now is doing everything you want out of a guy to lead off. Sure, he's taking some pitches, he swung at the first pitch, but I like what he's doing, getting deep into the counts, and today, I talked about it earlier, going to left center field. Let these guys go the opposite way. Get on base, drive the runs in. But you keep Fitzgerald at the base of this lineup, it's a secret weapon, and I love it. I think it's a great move for this Orange and Black club.
Real quick, one last point, and then you can give me your answer off the air, your advice or point, whatever. But early sample size once again.
Sure.
But it seems like Buster, these guys, this team, I feel like this cohesiveness is bringing back those 2010, 2012, and 14 teams. Now that may sound silly, but it seems like they just all love each other, and play for each other. It's great.
It's a team. It's a team without the revolving door, Mike. With so many different players coming in and out. The waiver wire. All the waiver wire players, it seemed like they were right back in the big leagues with the Giants getting an opportunity, and then in 5, 10, 15 at-bats, they were gone, somebody else in. You can't make a team with so many faces and so many personalities that you're hoping lightning in a bottle, as they always say, or finding a needle in a haystack. Analytics show those numbers, but it's about the character of the player. It's about the heart of the player. It's the soul of the player, how well they play. But when you get a guy in 26 guys, one down, everybody's going to pick them up. And I think that's what we're seeing with this team. And they're playing together. They're playing it with heart. And that's a small sample size that I think all Giants fans are loving to see right now.
Most definitely. Bill, you are an absolute gentleman. Thank you for taking my call.
Mike, appreciate the call. Love talking baseball with you. Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Bring my buddy Jeff Young on. We're going to get some inner thoughts from him, and I love talking to Jeff. He always drops some good statistics. And I tell you what, if you ever want to look at what he does on the internet, take a look on his Twitter handle, or I said X handle. We're going to talk to Jeff Young, and we're going to bring in some information that he has that we always love to talk about. Jeff Young coming up next right here on Sports Phone KNBR on The Leader.
The nighttime is the right time for Sports Phone KNBR. Let's go on the sports leader. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
All right, back on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky. The Giants win today in Philly, 11-4. They're 4-2 on the road trip, 9-3 on the road this year. Just having a real good road win-loss record, and then they're 13-5. You can't really argue about the season so far, and we're going to find out a little bit more information from the man, the myth, the legend. I love talking to him. Let's bring on Jeff Young from Around the Foghorn. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, Bill. Thanks for that introduction.
Well, you're the man. I love talking to you because you always bring up statistics that I love reading. And let's just talk about this team overall. 13-5. The run support's getting there. Their earned run average, the bullpen pitched well today. Small sample size. Jeff, tell me your thoughts so far for the 2025 season.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things that stand out right now is the Giants are playing good defense. They're catching the ball. They're running the bases well. The bullpen's been securing the leads late in the game. And the thing that really stands out on the offensive side is they're hitting really well with runners in scoring position. I'm looking at numbers right now for guys like Wilmer Flores, who had like a 1150 OPS with runners in scoring position in 2025. A lot of numbers like that. Mike Yastrzemski, Jung Hoo Lee. That's the number that stands out to me right now. It'll probably come down to earth at some point, but right now, when the Giants are coming up with runners in scoring position, they're getting that guy home, and that's a pretty big key factor for the hot start this year.
And Jeff, well, I'll stop you right there. Last year, the year before, it seemed like every time you and I had a chat, we always talked about runners in scoring position. 2 for 14, 3 for 18. It just seemed like it always bottled up when they got runners on base. And it seemed also, Jeff, they had runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs and they couldn't score.
Yeah, I don't know what the hitting coaches are telling them this year compared to last year, but whatever it is, they're doing something right. But, hitting with runners in scoring position is one of those stats that can kind of vary from year to year. And right now it's the Giants' year for hitting with runners in scoring position. So pretty good to see. It's not going to sustain itself at this level, but, hey, it's fun while it's going on.
Jeff, another point of interest that we always talked about last year was stolen bases. They were 30th. They were dead last. This year, Bob Melvin, Buster Posey said we're going to be more aggressive. 14 stolen bases, I do believe they have this year. Caught stealing, not that much, but you're seeing guys go after it. Yastrzemski, 2 stolen bases. Jung-Ho Lee got 3. Chapman with 2. Ramos even has 2. But, of course, Tyler Fitzgerald, the speed demon, has 4. Do you like what they're trying to do? Do you see a little more, positive notes when they get on the base? And do you like how aggressive they're getting?
Yeah, I mean, they've had a pretty high success rate, so it's hard not to be satisfied with what they're doing on the bases. It just feels like they're catching up with the rest of the league. I mean, a couple of years ago, they implemented a bunch of new rules like the disengagement limitations, the pitch clock, even increasing the size of the bases. That had a pretty sizable impact on teams stealing bases around the league. There was a huge spike over the past couple of years. And teams have not only been stealing more bases, but they've been stealing bases at a higher success rate. And the Giants were behind in that category for the past couple of years. They seem to have caught up this year, just taking more chances and being aggressive. I mean, really it comes down to reading the pitcher well. And, I think the Giants have been smart. It's not just that they're being aggressive. It's that they're getting good reads off the pitcher and they're stealing when they feel like they have a good chance. So, it's a pretty encouraging sign to see so far. I hope they keep it up. And, with the success rate they've had so far in stealing bases, I think, that's just a sign to the team to keep doing what they're doing.
That voice you hear on Sports Phone KNBR is Jeff Young. You can follow him on X at BaseballJeff1. And you need to follow him. He throws a lot of great statistics, not also in the big leagues, but also in the minor leagues. Jeff, Bob Melvin talks about the health of the team. Last year, Wilmer Flores was out most of the year with leg issues, knee issues, hip issues. You looked at Jung-Ho Lee, had a shoulder issue. Then you also had Mike Yastrzemski, who had some minor issues throughout the year. All three of these players, all three of them have done things to be healthy coming into spring training. And now you're seeing a little bit of what they can do on consistent roles, even though there's only 18 games in the season. But a healthy threesome like this can sure add a lot in this offense.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big differences this year compared to last year so far is that not only Jung-Ho Lee and Wilmer Flores and Mike Yastrzemski are healthy, but the rotation is healthy. I mean, if we look at what the rotation looked like at this point last year, it was Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, and you kind of hoped that there was a rain out or two in between. So, everyone's healthy, knock on wood. But yeah, that's one of the characteristics that stands out to this hot start. They no one's really on the injured list right now, and the guys who are on the field, they're performing well. Pretty good sign for the health. So, I mean, good, definitely a promising start for that as well.
Well, Jeff, I want to talk about Robbie Ray. You watched him today. He had an issue of throwing strikes. I threw the numbers out there, 19 in the third innings. He only walked 15 guys already. Today in the first inning, he walks 2 runs in. The overthrows, he's always at a quick delivery. But when I threw the numbers about what he threw, he only threw fastballs and sliders. The secondary pitches, he threw less than 5 with a curveball and a changeup that he was working on. What did you see with him today?
Yeah, I know it was pretty cold out in Philadelphia, and he pitched when it was raining last week in New York. So I do wonder if that's affecting his control a little bit. But the lack of secondary offerings. I mean, that changeup was a huge talking point during spring training, and it's been nearly non-existent so far this season. It's been hit pretty hard when he's used it, so I think that's kind of a sign to back off of it so far. But yeah, pretty much fastball slider combination. But with Robbie Ray, that's kind of the Robbie Ray experience. There's going to be a lot of strikeouts. There's going to be some walks. There's going to be a miss or two out over the plate. But he didn't really have that. When he came back from Tommy John surgery last year, usually it takes a little bit of time for the pitcher to get to their pre-surgery form, and he didn't really have that because he pretty much as soon as he came back, he went back on injury list. So I wonder if there's a little lag effect going on right now with not really having that consistent release point that often happens with pitchers coming back from major elbow surgery. So that could be affecting him, but also the conditions he pitched in could be affecting him as well. So I wouldn't expect him to maintain 15 walks in 19.1 innings, but he's going to walk a fair share of batters. He's also going to strike out a lot of batters.
Well, we look at Landon Roop, who really pitched great through spring training. He's had some good outings so far with the San Francisco Giants. He walks a few guys, too. He's around the plate. He's using his new pitches a little bit better. The cutter, of course, and the changeup are pitches that he's trying to bring in his 4-pitch mix. What have you seen out of him coming off the mound as a starter?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been throwing better than his ERA would indicate. I think he has an ERA that's 4.8 right now. I think he's pitched better than that. His batting average on balls in play is 410 right now. That number usually hovers around 300 in baseball. So that's something that's going to come down to earth, and that's going to benefit his numbers as the season progresses. But yeah, to your point, he's mixing in his secondaries a little better. That curveball is that real go-to out pitch that he has. His sinker, I mean, the command kind of comes and goes at times, and the changeup, that's a pretty effective pitch that he's used against left-handed pitcher or left-handed batters. So I like the way he's thrown. I think it's just a matter of just keep doing what he's doing because he's getting a fair number of ground balls. He's striking out a lot of batters. There's a lot to like. Hitters are not making contact against his curveball. There's a lot to like in what he's doing right now. So, some of those numbers are going to normalize themselves, and I think his overall numbers are going to benefit from that.
Watching Aaron Nola today, he was a lot of curveballs. When you look at what he threw, 99 pitches, 35 of them were that knuckle curveball, 26 sinkers. A lot of guys were swinging over it. He had, 8 strikeouts. That curveball that he was throwing reminds me a lot of Landon Roop because that 12-6 drop, when Patrick Bailey's behind the plate, he's throwing that pitch almost every other time when he gets into a jam. I love what he's trying to throw with a new pitch, a cutter, and the off-speed pitch, and he still brings it in the mid-90s. Landon Roop's opening my eyes, and, he's a battler. He's going to go out there and give you 5-6 innings. He gave up 3 runs in Philadelphia, and he ended up going length in 5 innings. That really showed me a lot of moxie out of the kid.
Yeah, you see a rough start like that, and you kind of hope that the pitcher can kind of settle down and find a groove, and that's exactly what Landon Roop did. I think one thing that stands out from that game a couple of days ago, his pitch count was up after the 4th inning. He was at like 85 or so pitches, and Bob Melvin threw him out for the 5th inning, and I really did like that call by Melvin to let him go get one more inning, get his pitch count up to over 100. He gave up a home run on a curveball to Nick Castellanos, but Castellanos is a good hitter. That was the first home run that Roop has given up all year. So I thought he threw well. He obviously he probably would have wanted to have a better start than he did a couple of days ago, but he threw the ball well. He found a groove, and I think there's something to build off of there.
Jeff Young joining me on Sports Phone KNBR for a few more minutes. You can read his work at Round the Foghorn and also follow him on X at BaseballJeff1. The big question is tomorrow. Jordan Hicks coming after a tough outing in New York against the Yankees. What do you see what he's got to do tomorrow? I believe the first inning is going to show me a lot what this kid can come back with.
Yeah, I mean, with Jordan Hicks, it's really just about commanding his pitches. When he starts walking batters, I think that's when he starts getting in trouble. And also for Bob Melvin to kind of have a tight leash on, and I put this out, I wrote about this a couple of days ago, but Jordan Hicks' numbers against the lineup for the third time. Once the hitters see him for the third time, they hit him pretty well. So I think there's something to be said for Bob Melvin to pull him out a little quicker than he did a couple of days ago when he was playing against the Yankees. Because once that third time through the lineup came up, the Yankees really I don't think he recorded a out against them. So really, it's just about first pitch strikes, not walking batters, and maybe limiting his exposure to 2 turns through the lineup.
Jeff, I pulled up the box score of that game in the 5th inning. Base hit, double walk, and he was out of the game. Most of the day was sinkers and sweepers. In that game, he got ahead, and they went 2-2 on most of them, and he gave up a lot of hits with the sweeper, and of course that's the slider that he tries to slide in there, and the sinker itself, Aaron Judge, he had him 2-2 and he blew a fastball by him, and he tried to throw a sinker inside, and that really started what his problems came off of in that 5th inning. And you're absolutely right, these guys came up the third time around, and that's when he had trouble in that Yankee game.
Yeah, it's just it was something he showed last year. And, that was his first year really as a true starter. He started a couple of times for the Cardinals a couple of years ago. So last year was a pretty small sample of him, facing the lineup for the third time. But just something to monitor as the season goes on. It was such a small sample that it's hard to really draw any sweeping conclusions from that. But, when he faced off against the Yankees a couple of days ago, it was kind of more of the same. So just something to be on the lookout for. I'm sure Bob Melvin is aware of it by now. But yeah, that just might be something that the Giants have to manage, is that, he might be good for the first 18 batters. And then at that point you have to take him out and let the bullpen do its job.
Boy, the bullpen was brilliant today. Lou Trevino going 2 innings, Camilo Duvall going 1, Spencer Bivens going 2, 5 innings, only giving up 1 hit and 1 walk with 5 strikeouts. This bullpen is one of the strongest the Giants have ever had, and I think they just lean on each other. And I think the addition of Lou Trevino is a big plus for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's somebody that Bob Melvin likes from their time with the A's. He's a leverage reliever. He's still kind of, he missed the past couple of seasons. He didn't pitch at all for the Yankees in 2023 and 2024. So I think he's still trying to find his footing again on a major league mound. But he looked good today. He got a win for the first time since 2022. So pretty cool. He did it in front of a hometown crowd. So again, another pretty cool thing for Trevino tonight. But if he's one of your lower leverage relievers, and that's kind of how Bob Melvin is using him and Spencer Bivens right now, I think that's a sign of a pretty strong bullpen. I think the Giants have a pretty good blueprint for, how the bullpen's going to function, getting the ball to Ryan Walker, whether it's going to be Tyler Rogers or Eric Miller or even Camilo Duvall. If he can get back on track, he looked good today. But yeah, really nice outing for Trevino. He can help out the Giants this year.
I agree also. A couple more questions with Jeff Young on Sports Phone KNBR. Had a few callers earlier in the show talking about Lamont Wade Jr. Some concerns going 5 for 49 in the early part of the season in 18 games. Change in his stance. I talked about when I went up there at the homestand, seeing Barry Bonds work with him, trying to make more contact, trying to drive the ball a little bit better. Concerns that you think you are capable of seeing Lamont Wade Jr. come out of this slump?
Yeah, I think the Giants are optimistic that he can. They moved him down in the lineup due to his struggles, but it could also be a continuation of last season. He kind of struggled in the second half of last year, and he's off to a slow start this year. The thing that stands out to me with Lamont Wade Jr. right now is just consistency. I'm looking at his numbers. I'm looking at his at bats. At times he's making hard contact, but he's not barreling up the ball. At times he's barreling up the ball, but he's not making hard contact. So I think it's just a matter of doing both at the same time, and he hasn't done a lot of that yet. But, the underlying numbers do, at least convey that he's been doing a good bit of either one so far this year. So it's just a matter of being a little more consistent with hitting the ball hard and getting a good piece of the barrel on the ball.
Well, Jeff, we'll finish on a positive. I'll throw the name out there, and you'll probably smile and say, boy, the Giants fans are starting to come out with their Jung-Hoo Lee fan club. He has been dynamite so far. The speed, the accuracy with his throws yesterday to getting Bryce Harper out. His at-bats just so clean, and boy, he is really making a spark in that 3 spot in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are a lot of questions about why he was hitting third before the start of the year, but that looks like a really good decision. I mean, he's a guy, he's really tough to strike out. He doesn't hit for a ton of home run power, but he just sprays line drives all over the field. He gets a lot of extra base hits. You know, he hits the ball in the gap. He just keeps the line moving. So kind of a throwback in that sense. But, yeah, it's been fun to watch Jung-Hoo Lee. It's been fun to watch him hit. It's been fun to watch him field. He's done a really nice job adjusting in center field. It's been fun to watch him run the bases too. So really promising start for him, and I think the Giants hope that there's a lot more of that to come.
Well, Jeff, it's always a pleasure talking to you about Giants baseball. We didn't get to the minor leagues. We'll hold off for another call for that, but I appreciate your time today and looking forward for more chatting with you as the season progresses.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on, Bill. The pleasure is all mine.
That was Jeff Young. You can follow him on X at BaseballJeff1. All right, we're going to take a quick break on Sports Phone KNBR. Come back with more. And the Giants end up winning today in Philadelphia 11-4 to up their record to 13-5. I'm Bill Lasky. This is KNBR. More coming up right here on the Sports Leader.
Sports Phone KNBR keeps rolling live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpot Studios. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, back on KNBR with Bill Lasky, and boy, oh boy, the Giants played well today. They ended up getting 4 runs in the first inning, got a run in the fifth, 2 in the sixth, 4 in the seventh, to win the game 11-4, 11 runs, 13 hits, 1 error for the San Francisco Giants. The Phillies ended up only getting 4 runs, 7 hits, 1 error, and they go to 10-8 on the season, while the San Francisco Giants go to 13-5. Great start. Tomorrow they'll do it again. They have a 4-game series in Philadelphia before they travel down to Anaheim to play the LA Angels this weekend. Jordan Hicks on the hill for the Giants against Christopher Sanchez, a 28-year-old lefty. First pitch right here at 1:05. You'll be able to hear that right here on KNBR. Tomorrow night, Sports Phone KNBR will be hosting that again tomorrow night from 7 to 9 o'clock. I have SF Gate Alex Simon will be joining me, and I caught up with Dave Brundage today to talk about the AAA Sacramento Rivercats as he's starting his 9th season with the Sacramento Rivercats as the manager. They're doing well so far, 9-7. We break down the roster and talk about a lot of their young talent and some of the veterans that are down there. So it's a great interview I have with Dave Brundage. All right, coming up next, I sat down, good friend of mine, Bobby Evans. Of course, he was with the San Francisco Giants for 25 seasons before he got let go in 2018 as a general manager. He started in 1994 as a minor league administrator. Then he went to director of operations. He was in player personnel. He was the vice president of baseball operations. And in 2015, he was selected to be the general manager of the San Francisco Giants, and he took that from 2015 to 2018. Well, this year, Buster Posey grabbed him, and he is now an advisor along with Jeff Berry, the ex-agent for Buster Posey. And I sat down with him about his new role and what is he thinking about and what is he doing to more or less help Buster Posey in different situations. Buster has hired so many good people around him in the baseball world, and this is what's helping him. The more people that can talk to him, the more information that he can obtain, it just makes his moves smarter. But at the long run, Buster Posey is a very smart baseball man. So coming up next, Bobby Evans and I sit down and talk about a lot of things, so sit back and relax. Bobby Evans coming up next right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Giants fans. This is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Welcome back to Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky. I'm really excited to bring a guest on, a good friend of mine in his 26th season with the San Francisco Giants, a three-time World Series champion, the general manager of the Giants from 2015 to 2018. Now he's back as an advisor for Buster Posey. Let's bring in Bobby Evans. Bobby, how are you today?
Hey, I'm great, Bill. Nice to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, so glad to jump in with you and talk about this 2025 baseball team, the San Francisco Giants. Let's go back in November when Buster Posey was more or less happy to be president of baseball operations, a new role, a new type of leadership. What did you think of that when all that happened?
I mean, for the organization to make any kind of change at the top, I mean, it's a very difficult decision. But I think what made it a lot easier is when you had Buster already involved in the ownership group, and he was willing to take the ball, as Greg Johnson said in the press conference. The fact that Buster was willing to take the ball, I mean, it's hard to imagine anybody better suited to run the baseball operations department than the guy who in essence was quarterbacking from behind the plate for all those years of 3 World Series championship teams and many years of success, and he had the heartbeat to do it. I mean, he moved back to the Bay Area to be more involved with the ownership group. I think his family really, even though they went to Georgia for a year, I think his family missed being in the Bay Area, and so he came home again, back to this home again, and loves it. His family loves it, and then to see him involved in ownership, and then to take on this role, I think the entire Giants fan base, felt the excitement of just having him come home in a more clear and formidable way.
Bobby, your relationship with Buster Posey goes all the way back when he got drafted to the San Francisco Giants, watching his career go through the minor leagues and being an elite catcher at the big league level. What brings his leadership so much of a part of this organization?
Yeah, I think that just the calmness of his demeanor, his astuteness to the game itself. I mean, he's a student of the game. I mean, he loves the game, but he's a student of the game. He's a student of our own players. He's a student of other teams' players, and in general, just to watch him, take on this bigger role, he's become a student of the front office, and I think it just sends a message, I think, to the clubhouse, to the fan base, coaching staff, the scouts, the entire front office, just that we have someone that's passionate and a kind of leader that will bring us together and celebrate what we've accomplished, but plan to accomplish a lot more in the future. And I think the energy around his style of leadership, his passion for people, his belief in people, empowering people, has really taken off in a good way.
Well, Buster surrounded himself with some great baseball people, hiring you back as well as Jeff Berry as advisors. What is the direction that you do with him, and what do you advise him about?
I mean, I think Buster and Zach, are running a tight ship. I mean, they're a formidable team, and they have some very experienced people in the front office, from Jeremy Shelley to Paul Bien to, a ton of baseball ops staff that are invested and have been around, even many who were with me back when I was still with the Giants, and now they're 5 years older and advanced in their careers. And so I think that for Jeff and I, to assist such a formidable team, it's kind of a hard thing to describe. I think that to be honest, they're so astute that we just try to provide, I think, a little bit of background sometimes for situations, or background for conversations or negotiations they're having, or decisions that they're making. Just another voice. I think that's kind of how we feel. We're just another voice in the room with them, and I think that we feel we're welcomed by the team as a whole, the whole group. We're not there just to whisper in Buster's ear. We're in relationship with the entire baseball operations staff, including player development and scouting. And so our goal is to just be another voice in the room, a different perspective, and as well as helping them sort through whatever may be on the table on a given day. But we're also their biggest cheerleaders. I mean, we're believers in the people that are in that room and the people that are making those decisions, and we want to make sure they feel supported in every way possible.
That voice you hear on Sports Phone KNBR is Bobby Evans. Well, we go back to 2010, 12, and 14, and Buster Posey talked about pitching and defense. When we look at this 2025 team, early part of this season, and you look at what they've done in the pitching department, they're third overall out of 30 teams with a 3.26 earned run average, under 50 walks, over 150 strikeouts. Then you look on the fielding side, Bobby, they've made 3 errors so far this year. So pitching and defense has made this team so successful in the early part of the year. What have you thought about it so far?
It looks like you're getting the most out of each guy, individually and then collectively. I think their approach goes back to spring training. I mean, I think that Baumel set a tone. His coaching staff has maintained that tone. I think that the players are very clear about what's expected. I think the attention to detail, you see it pregame, you see it in the clubhouse in terms of their preparation with the team of analysts and video and coaches and the collaboration that they have as players and as coaches. I think what we're seeing is what we saw all spring. They're playing good baseball. They're playing with intensity. They're playing also with a certain degree of they're playing loose. They're not tight. They're not, even in situations, they're playing loose. And I think that's a big part of our success going back to our time under Bochy. Is Bochy, when guys were playing loose under him, partly because of how he was calm, it made them calm. And I think Baumel has brought that same calmness to the dugout, to the clubhouse, and players are feeding off of it. They're feeding off each other. I do think Adames, brings an energy to that clubhouse that, I hear about over and over again and get to see it firsthand. And it's fun to watch him have success yesterday because, nobody's working harder and more committed. And I think the energy is, feeding off of him, but each other, and we're getting to get the results that you hope for. I mean, they're finding ways to bring in big hits and score big runs. Even, yesterday down 3-0. I mean, who can expect a 6-run inning to follow that? But that's the kind of baseball they're playing right now, and they're listening to their coaches. They're listening to each other, and I think they're listening to the big message that Bob Melvin and Buster Posey and Zach Maniason delivered from day one, and I think they're living it out.
Bobby, we watched Buster Posey be a leader in that clubhouse. It wasn't always verbal, get up, rah-rah stuff. He was a leader and sometimes a quiet leader. He'd go sit next to players and just discuss baseball. You just sell it. Willie Adames, as well as Matt Chapman, are the same kind of style of a leader that Buster Posey was. These two guys are locked up for a few years. What does that mean for the San Francisco Giants moving forward with such great defenders?
Well, it says a lot about what our priorities are, to have great defense behind great pitching. And the pitching has been stellar. And I think the leadership of JP in that role on the field has made a huge impact on these guys. But they know what their role is. They're not. There's not an ambiguity at all. It's very clear what's going on, and I think it really pumps them up. I think that when you see two guys under long-term deals, it tells something. It says something to the younger players. I could be next. I mean, Webby's on a long-term deal, so it tells players there's something to shoot for here, and there's a chance to be here a while if we do well.
Let's jump into this pitching real quick. Hayden Birdsong, 23 years old, starts in the bullpen, something he's adjusting to, but boy, he is this pitch lights out. Then you look at Landon Roop, 26 years old, two young arms that really are playing a good part in this pitching so far. What have you thought of both of them so far as in this early part of the season?
Well, I think it was a hard decision, even with other pitching that's pitching at AAA right now. There was hard decisions to make it in the spring, and it was a well thought out process to make this call. And Roop won the job as the fifth starter, and he showed a lot of what he's made of last night. When he gives up 3 in the first, that can be mentally very tough for any pitcher, much less a young pitcher. And he's not new at this. I mean, I think he's 27, so he's got some experience behind him. But this being his first year in the rotation, first time in the big leagues on a consistent basis, I mean, this is a big deal when you're down 3 and you're in a hitter's ballpark, and he goes on to pitch through 5 innings. I mean, that says a lot about him, a lot about Bailey behind the plate, and a lot about JP and Bomel to have the confidence to keep him out there. And I think that's the kind of environment where young players exceed, where you feel that the guys in the dugout believe in you, and I think it brings out the best in them. And I think Birdsong the same way. Even though he's not in the rotation, he's being put in situations that are critical innings. These are not simple, low-key innings. These are important innings to help keep us in the lead and to win the ball game. And they haven't pitched him into the 9th because we have other guys that can finish the game, but he's set up really well in those late innings, 6, 7, 8, and it's impressive, and he's consistent. And again, these guys have to throw strikes. That's part of the deal, and they're getting the job done, and they're only going to get better and stronger.
Bobby Evans joining me on Sports Phone KNBR for a few more minutes. A couple players that were injured last year. You look at Wilmer Flores, Mike Yastrzemski, then you look at Jung-Hoo Lee. All 3 players have come back healthy, and their production with the bats have really, really overwhelmed the offense for the Giants, and they've kept them afloat. Tell me a little bit about these 3 players. You saw them in spring training, and they're doing extremely well so far. What is this happening? What's happening with these guys, and how are they locked in so well?
I do think there's a lot to be said for the preparation that they had before spring training even started, and some of that goes back to the interactions that the coaches had with these guys this winter, but also our head of our medical staff and Dave Greshner, just making sure these guys were doing everything they could to prepare for the season. But a lot of that is going to have to be balanced. That's why you're able to give guys a blow or a day when they need it. But the preparation, I think I think many of these guys were at spring training, swinging the bat, live, or at least off of pitching machines, if not, BP pitchers in the cages, as much as 3 and 4 weeks early, if not more than that. And I think that was part of their commitment, and part of it was, what you're seeing now is that they're locked in. And again, it's a long season, and you're gonna see so many ups and downs, and sometimes it takes a while to get through, the humps in the road, if you will. There's the bumps in the road with maybe your swing's off, or maybe your timing's off, or maybe your confidence is off. But even Fitzy, we see yesterday where what he's capable of, and he's got to know that's in him. So hopefully there's a lot more of that to come too.
Bobby, you and I have been around baseball for many, many years. A lot of fans are a little concerned about Matt Chapman and Willie Adames getting off to slow starts. What have you seen out of them, and is there any type of concern we should be worried about with these 2 veterans?
No, I think that they put pressure probably on themselves. I mean, they know they need to be centerpieces of this offense. But what the guys around them are showing them is that we can do our part too, and I think that will help both Chapman and Adames not feel like they have to yank the ball out of the ballpark every at bat, and they can play good defense, and they can come in and play a role offensively, as we saw with Adames yesterday. And I do think that sometimes the veteran guys coming into big contracts, it can be hard. It can be I remember, Lindor, people got down on Lindor with the Mets. As soon as he signed that contract, he maybe had an off half a season or something. But some of that happens. It's just that there's just different pressure points, and I think that we, as the uniform gets more and more comfortable, and the role gets more and more comfortable, and the contract gets more and more in the background, the more they can just be themselves. And I think that this team around them will allow them to be themselves. But the good thing about both of them is they have other ways they contribute, and I think that takes a lot of pressure off as well.
Bobby, last one for you. The last 6 years, we saw so many moves, a revolving door at AAA, revolving door in the big leagues. In 2025, we have not seen one option, one add-on, nothing like that. And Buster's more or less saying, this is the team we're working with, this is the team moving forward. Your thoughts on that?
It's a pretty loud statement. I mean, it's a pretty strong statement, and impressive that that's been able to execute that way. I mean, we know that the game has its ups and downs, and there are some times where guys aren't feeling their best, but managing people's innings and at bats and days off and all those things are part of it. And it's hard to maintain a season without having obviously a significant number of roster moves. But whenever you can get through the critical first part of the season, the first 2 weeks plus in the season without having a transaction, it shows definitely a blessing beyond words, and it is a testament to everybody's hard work, but it's also good fortune, and we count our blessings while we have them, for sure.
Well, Bobby, I am so happy you're back in the Orange and Black organization. It's always great to catch up with you, and again, thank you for your time today.
Hey, Bill, it's always fun. Thank you, and continued best.
All right, that was Bobby Evans on Sports Phone KNBR. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
We want your reaction, so give us a ring or blow up the text line at 415-808-KNBR. This is Sports Phone KNBR, streaming live at twitch.tv/The Sports Leader.
Welcome back to Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky as we finish up a Wednesday night. Giants winners today in Philadelphia, 11-4. Fourth game tomorrow, first pitch 1:05. Jordan Hicks against Christopher Sanchez. I'll be handling the Sports Phone KNBR show tomorrow from 7 to 9 o'clock. I want to thank my two guests today, Jeff Young, as also with Bobby Evans. You can hear those podcasts if you missed it on the All KNBR podcast. Also want to thank Double D, Danny Dunn for producing the show, as well as Cole for picking up the calls. And I want to thank you, Giants fans, for staying in touch with us right here on KNBR. For Bill Lasky, have a great rest of the night. Like I said, I'll be right back here on Sports Phone KNBR tomorrow night. So for the Giants again, winners today, 11-4. They're 13-5. Have a good night. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.